Alright, so now that we know what those three trig ratios are, let's talk about what we can actually do with those things. Alright, so we can do two things. One, if we know one side and one angle, what we can do is we can find another side length. So what we can do is find another side length, which is cool, because with Pythagorean theorem, we can only find a side length if we know two sides. This way, we can still find a side length if we know one side. Secondly, if we know two sides, what we can do is we can find the measure of an angle. All right, so if you know two sides and no angles, you can figure one out. All right, so quickly, a review of what the formulas are. This here, SOHCAHTOA, is a quick and easy way to remember our formulas. So, SOH, stands for the sine formula. So sine of some angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Right? So sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. CA stands for the cosine formula. Cosine of some angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And lastly, TOA is the tangent formula. So tan of some angle equals opposite over adjacent. TOA. Right? Now, if you can't remember SOHCAHTOA or any of these formulas, that's okay. These are all included on your purple formula sheet. Alrighty, let's talk about using these formulas, and I'm going to do 3 examples. So the first, finding a side. Now I have all these nice steps labeled out, and if you follow these steps, they will work every single time. Alright, so we're finding a side. In this example, we're looking for side A. That is this side right here. So first, find the angle which you are using, the one that you know, and label the triangle. So this one, we know the 27-degree angle. That's this one right here. So we're going to label it from here. So the angle that, the side that the angle is looking at is our opposite. The side that the right angle is looking at is the hypotenuse. And my leftover side is my adjacent. Alright, labeled. Bam, done. Step number 2. Decide which ratio you will use based on the sides you know. Okay, so I know the 14, I know the hypotenuse, and I'm looking for the opposite. So that's what I need a formula to use. I need something that uses opposite and hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, opposite and hypotenuse. Hey, that's sine. Opposite and hypotenuse. Bam. I know which one I'm going to use. Step number 3, write down the equation. So I know I'm using my sine formula. Equals opposite over hypotenuse. Bam, done. Step number 4, fill it in with the numbers from your triangle. Alright, so theta is always the angle. So my angle was 27 degrees. Okay, the angle always goes with the word. My opposite side, don't know it. Let's leave it as A. My hypotenuse, that was 14. Bam, done. Step number 5, use your calculator to determine the sine, cos, or tan. So I'm going to use my calculator to figure out what sine 27 equals. So my calculator, I'm going to go sine of 27 equals that long decimal, 0.45399. 0.45399. 0.45399. Sorry, I'm repeating it so I can remember it. Alright, and that equals, I still have my A over 14. Bam. My last step is to cross multiply to get that letter by itself. Right, so I'll show you 2 different ways from this step. So you can cross multiply, And in order to cross multiply, you need two fractions. So I've got a fraction over here. To make this into a fraction, you can just put it over 1. That's allowed. It doesn't change the number. So now when I'm cross multiplying, that means the top of one side times the bottom of the other goes over here. So that's a times 1. That's just a by itself. Now top of one side times bottom of the other side goes over here. 0.45399 times 14. And that'll equal a. So now I just have to punch that into my calculator, and I'll know what a equals. So that number times 14. Bam. Let's round it up to 6.4. Because those are in meters, so is this. That's my answer. Now from this step, I can actually go a different direction. So I've got 0.45399 equals a over 14. All right. So I'm trying to get that a by itself. So I need to get rid of this 14. So you need to do the opposite of whatever's going on. So because I'm dividing by 14, I have to multiply it by 14. Whatever I do to one side, though, I have to do to the other. These 14s will cancel out. All I have left with is a equals 14 times my 0.45399. That's the same as I have right here. So I know my answer is still going to work out to 6.4 meters. All right, so that's one example. I'm going to do one more like this that's just a little bit different. All right, this time we're looking for side B. That is this side right here. Oops. And I accidentally erased my right angle. So first, find the angle you're using and label the triangle. So I know my 40-degree angle, so I'm going to label it from here. The side across from it is the opposite. The side across from the right angle, or the longest side, is my hypotenuse. And my leftover side is my adjacent. Good. Bam. Done. Check. There we go. All right. Decide which ratio you will use. So I go back to my formulas. Well, which one do I need? I need something that uses my opposite and my adjacent. The side I know and the side I need. So I need adjacent and I know opposite. So opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent. Tangent uses opposite and adjacent. Good. So that's my formula we're going to use. Bam. Write down the equation. So TOA, tangent, equals opposite over adjacent. Good. All right, next step. Fill it in with numbers from your triangle. So my angle was 40. My opposite side was 15. And my adjacent side was, well, that's what I'm looking for. So we'll leave that as B. Good. Use my calculator to determine the sine, cos, or tan. So my tan 40, that's what I'm going to use my calculator for. Tangent of 40 equals, okay, 0.839. 0.839 blah blah equals 15. Whoops. 15 over B. Bam. All right, now I'm going to cross multiply to find my answer. So again, in order to cross multiply, I need two fractions. So I'm going to put this over 1. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So that means top of one side times the bottom of the other goes over here. 15 times 1 is 15. Now on the other side, that long decimal times B goes over here. 0.839 yada yada times B. Let's just move this over. oops. So that long decimal times b. So now I'm not done though. You'll notice I don't have b by itself yet. So I've got some long decimal times b. So I need to undo that timesing. Opposite of multiplying is division. So you're going to divide by whichever that number is you're trying to get rid of. But whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. These are going to cancel out. All I have left there is b. And that will equal 15 divided by our long decimal. So now I just have to punch that into my calculator, and then I'll have my answer. So b will equal 15 divided by that long decimal. Okay, so I keep saying that long decimal because I don't want to round it yet. So I'm going to go 15 divided by, and there should be an answer button on your calculator. So that'll be whatever your previous answer is. So on the Google it says what my previous answer was, and it keeps all those decimals for me. That's good. All right, so my answer is going to be 17 point, let's round that up to 17.9. So b equals 17.9. And what unit were we using? These were in centimeters. So this is in centimeters. All right, so it just has one extra step from the last question. And the letter is in the bottom, you'll have an extra step. All right, one last example, then I'm done, I promise. So finding an angle. So this is the second thing we said we can do. Again, I wrote down all the steps for us. First thing, find the angle which you're looking for and label the triangle. So in this one, we're looking for angle A. That's what it tells us. So that's this angle up here. So we're going to label the triangle from here. So side across from it, be my opposite. The longest side be my hypotenuse, and the other side will be my adjacent. Alrighty. So next step, determine which ratio you're going to use, which formula. So I need one that uses the sides I know. So I know my opposite and I know my adjacent. Which thing uses opposite and adjacent? Hey, it's a tangent question again. All right. So, whoops, that's done. And we're going to write down the equation. Tangent of some angle equals opposite over adjacent. Good. All right, next step. Fill it in with the numbers from your triangle. So, my angle, I don't know. So I'm going to leave that as theta. My opposite side was 8. My adjacent side was 7. Good. Step is done. Type the fraction into your calculator to get a decimal. So that 8 divided by 7 is what I'm going to type in. 8 divided by 7 equals that decimal there. 1.14, etc. So tan of some angle equals 1.14 blah 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 long decimal. Okay, I'm just going to move that over. So I'm not done yet because I have tan here and I want to get that angle by itself. So to do that, you have to take the inverse, so the blank to the -1 of that decimal. So when I say blank to the -1, it's whatever formula you're using. So because I'm using tan in this question, just question only, it's going to be tan to the -1. The reason we do that, because you're trying to get rid of that tan, so you have theta by itself. So you have to take the inverse, do the opposite. So you take the tan to the -1 of that, but whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So tan to the -1 of that long decimal. So then you're just going to be left with theta equals tan to the -1 of that long decimal. So in order to do tan to the -1, it's actually super nice on your calculator. So all you have to do is there will be either a second button or an inverse button. So if I hit the inverse button, you notice all these change to the -1. So I'm doing 10 to the -1 of whatever my long decimal was. So remember, I'm using the answer button because it keeps all my decimals. Bam! There's my answer, 48.8 degrees. 0.8 degrees. Okay, make sure you keep your unit. That's that. Bam, done. So if you follow those steps, you should be able to tackle any of these questions. Tackle the practice questions. If you have questions, ask me. As always, have fun with it.